Welcome. What we didn't learn in high school were two concepts that are important in the financial planning process: how to set goals and the importance of the time value of money. Joining me today is David Manioni. Well, welcome back, David.
Thanks, Dirk. Glad to be back.
So, in high school, I set a very lofty goal for myself. By the time I was 30, I had the goal of owning a Porsche 911 Turbo.
Nice. How'd that work out?
Better than I expected. At 30, I actually had a new family, a mortgage, and a SUV.
Nice.
So, David, obviously my goal was unrealistic, even though it seemed very realistic at the time. So how do we actually set goals that are meaningful and obtainable?
I like to use the acronym PTA, which stands for Purpose, Time, and Amount. Goals need to have, obviously, a purpose and where that fits in your overall plan, a specific time frame or deadline, if you will, when it needs to be achieved by, and then a specific dollar amount allows us to measure how we're progressing. The acronym SMART, S-M-A-R-T, also works for goal planning. The S stands for specific. The goal needs to be specific enough that we can identify the specific things we need to do to achieve them. Vague goals like I want to earn more money next year is not specific enough to actually build an action plan on. The M stands for measurable. So a dollar figure, like in the amount in PTA, certainly goes to that. You can track. I want to have saved enough money to buy a Porsche 911. Then you need to track how you're progressing towards that. The A stands for achievable. It needs to be a reasonable goal that can be accomplished. I want to save $10 million by the time I'm 60 is a really big goal, and it may be achievable for some people, it may not be. So identifying what can be done is an important part of making realistic goals. The R stands for relevant, and what relevance means is within your overall picture, the goal needs to fit, and it needs to take into consideration the things that are going on. So in your example about buying the Porsche, you might not have considered the fact that you might meet a girl and get married and have kids and need an SUV instead of a Porsche. So relevance comes into play where you are in life. And then T is the time-bound piece. You need to have a deadline, and there's nothing like a deadline to motivate people.
Great. Well, so once we start setting those goals, we actually have to prioritize them.
Exactly. And the prioritization process is simply a matter of working through identifying the goals and deciding which ones are more important than others. It's like the old adage, how do you eat an elephant? Well, it's one bite at a time. So let me demonstrate how I show clients how to do that.
Okay, great.
So the technique I use when working with clients to help them prioritize their goals is called the timeline technique. And the way that works is I start off drawing a dot that represents today, and then I draw a line to the side that says this represents your long and glorious future, and somewhere out here you would like to retire, I'm sure. But between today and retirement, what other financial goals do you have? And that's when the client will tell me things besides retirement, which I'll write that down here. They may want to pay off the house, so I'll write down house, or pay off a car and the credit card. And they may want to save for a wedding for their children, or they may want to buy a vacation home. Whatever the goals are, it doesn't really matter to me because they're the client's goals. So whatever your personal financial goals are, it doesn't really matter what they are. It's just the whole point of listing them until the client says, that's pretty much it. So in between here and here, the next thing we need to do is identify where on the timeline they want to achieve these goals. So with retirement already marked, say, so when do you want to pay off the house? And they'll say, well, that's going to be not too far from retirement. So I'd put an H out here. And when are you going to pay off the car? Well, we're going to try and do that in the next couple of years. So I'll put the car here. How about the credit cards? And they'll say, well, we want to get those paid off even sooner. So I'll draw a line just a short distance out and put credit card. And then when are the weddings going to happen? That'll be a function of how old the children are, but let's just say they're out here a bit. And then how about the vacation home? And that may be just before retirement. So I'll put a V right there. And now we have on the timeline their financial goals placed as far as when they would like them to occur. So the final step then is going to be to say, all right, now which of these goals is most important? And the way I do that is I say, all right, so let's just say life is really, really hard. and you're only going to be able to accomplish one of these goals. Which one would it be? Well, most people are going to say retirement, but so for example purposes, we're just going to use that, retirement. And then I say, okay, life's a little bit easier. You have the ability to accomplish one more goal. Which one would that be? And it varies from individual to individual, but let's just say for this example, it's pay off those darn credit cards. So that's number 2. All right, what's next? And they would say maybe pay off the car, and then pay off or actually save for a wedding would be probably next, and then pay off the house and save for the vacation home. Now I have all of their goals prioritized in importance and on the timeline. So then it's just a matter of working with the client to figure out how we're going to do that best.
That was great information from David on setting goals. Now let's talk about another important financial concept, and that is the time value of money. What the time value of money tells us is that the purchasing power of currency will change over time. As financial advisors, an important tool we use is called the Rule of 72. The Rule of 72 is a very simple concept that lets us know how long it will take something to double in value. Let me give an example. If I have an investment and that investment is earning 8%, that will let me know that in 9 years that investment will double in value. We can also look at housing. If housing is increasing at 4% a year, that will tell us that in 18 years, the value of our house will double. Finally, we can look at the cost of goods. Inflation has been running about 3% annually. If we divide 72 by 3, this will tell us that every 24 years, the cost of the goods we purchase will double in value. And this is the Rule of 72.